Hello, my name is Daniel Stillwell. I am the editor of the IFTA e-newsletter. We are here in Aberdeen, Scotland at the conference in 2025, and we have with us Darya Haitoglou. Haitoglou?
Haitoglou.
Haitoglou. All right, well, I'll get it. Thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us a little bit about your presentation that you were just able to give, and so that people can connect with the ideas, connect with you in whatever way they make sense.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. I've just presented the evolution of satire, Virginia Satir. Many people know about her work. Some people actually were first learning about her.
Right, yeah.
And it was quite fascinating to share a bit of her model and also what we do in the field with the modern approaches and how we evolve the model. So I presented also a study that I've done last year. It was part of my doctorate in psychology on Virginia Satir. So I looked at all research out there on our planet on satire because I was like hungry for evidence-based approach on her model. And I did a literature review of 20 plus studies. So I presented the results, and then we had a bit of a discussion on how satire model helps and why, and then situated in the polyvagal also perspective of Stephen Porge, and and then I shared the progression, the evolution. So how it started. And what we do now, I call it stasis kinesis. In Greek, it is stance, dance, or stasis means stuckness, sort of like status quo, or stillness as well. And kinesis is the movement. So how do we get from stress, stuck, into flow states? So connecting to Virginia Satir's communication stances, as many know, she talked about 4. Then her student Sharon Lerschen added 5th one, withdrawing. From conflict. So what I did, I added flow states for each of that stance, and we actually experienced all together as a group with our body, which really pushed a little bit an envelope of like what the therapeutic possibilities and context could be for family therapy, but also group therapy, because we do workshops and retreats around the world, and that's where this modality is beautifully presented. And I work with different populations, but it's just a lovely kind of engaging way of learning satire, but also doing deep work, and not just to go from let's say dysfunctional to congruent or functional, like regulated state. But there is this bridge that's fun and easy way. I call it yoga for relationships. So it's a beautiful, from a blamer into peaceful warrior, from placater into poetry, and from the super reasonable to humble monk, or from irrelevant distracting into core harmonizer, or from withdraw into world hugger. So we dance, we play, we experiment, and we connect with our systems, how we learn to cope from the family of our origin, but also how we work with clients and help them cope better.
Okay. All right. So what kind of international or multicultural lens did you put on this? Or maybe you got some good feedback from the people who attended.
Yeah, we had such a wide breadth of different cultures who came to the presentation, and afterwards they came over and really connected, because some of them studied satire, but it was like 20-30 years ago, and they've moved on. So what I've also done, I put together slides on how to incorporate satire, parts of the satire model, into different modalities that are really research-based, like CBT modalities and P, the prolonged exposure, or even psychodynamic modalities, or ACT, you've got dynamic brief therapies and solution-focused therapy. So it's a nice sort of integrative approach, and for anybody who's interested, maybe we can attach those slides, how to do this, because it's a fascinating area of like, now we can connect satire with obviously polyvagal, emotion focused. We've got a lot of research on IFS, internal family systems, And so Dick Schwartz just gave the endorsement for the satire book that I'm writing, and saying that he actually studied satire and he did his doctoral thesis on the satire. And the IFS is beautifully connected to the Potts Party, right? Of Virginia. And also we have the family reconstruction that's connected to Bert Hellinger's family constellations. We've got the NLP, the neurolinguistic programming that stemmed from satire, a lot of work on communication, and that CBT sort of like stemming coaching, a lot of coaching modalities come from satire. So how do we bring back, a lot of research-based modalities to go back to the motherhood, to the mother of family therapy? And I think that's my mission. I'm a director of her institute in the UK, and also I practice, teach and supervise now in Greece. I live there, but also internationally. How do we bring back that heart, that connection, that humanness that Virginia was all about, and reconnect the dots? How do we across the cultures? Because it was very interesting. A couple of people were very much in a thinking process, which absolutely there's no right or wrong. Some people are more auditory, some people are more visual, some people are more kinesthetic. And I think the way how we expand our repertoire, the way how we learn ourselves as humans to connect on different level, for me this is the best model to incorporate across different cultures. I come from Siberia, married to a Greek, we lived in Switzerland, we're British by passport, we have so many different languages in a household, and I work with cross-cultural couples mostly, like myself, and we look at traumatic events, but also dysfunctional states, stances, and help move towards feeling better, happier. And that works across cultures.
Well, and I think one of the things that people love about satire as a person and as a model of sorts is the wholeness of the humanity that she emphasized and brought to herself and to her clients. Much of that has been stripped away or dissected with research, with other models, with insurance or other things. So I like the idea of reminding some of us where we came from. You mentioned evolution. Where's this going?
Well, there are many advancements. I was very surprised when we looked at all the research that so much is happening, especially in Asia. Dr. Banman did a lot of work there and still continue. And there's a lot of universities that bring in research and master thesis and doctor thesis. And so a lot of the iceberg model is evolving, congruence is evolving into incorporating spirituality as a way to, in a way, bring the congruence to the self, to the core, to the sort of divine energy, where it's not just alignment of thoughts and behavior.
Right.
That it's more like a Maslow kind of hierarchy towards self-actualization. Satire model is evolving into embracing all aspects of humanity and more. So this is a strand of work many people are working on. Is how do we look at persons in a systemic lens, but with spirituality, not religion, but that part of like how do we help people be congruent, meaning connecting with our energy, with our source, with our divinity, with our everything. And that's for me also something new that I'm working towards. For me, the current evolution is how do we bring communication stances into the work of couple work, family work, but with this evolution of stasis kinesis. So I'm going to present next year on the stasis kinesis integrative movement therapy that I've done a few years ago, but I'm still in the process of publishing. And I think there's so many interconnectedness that we could do with other modalities that have research supported. So for me, evolution of satire is to be connected and integrated with other modalities, but in a way that can bring change, facilitate change. Because now we live in an unprecedented world with AI, with technology that is just immediate, with everything available, and we cannot just. The research needs to happen, but we are so behind, so we need to integrate the research modalities with some satire models that, processes that work. And there's a beautiful pieces like Iceberg and the family reconstruction piece and the Hearts Party. And we do family reconstruction now within 1 hour. It used to be like a month and weeks and whatever, and now actually I'm very excited about this piece. So how do we bring more research into brief systemic pieces of satire that can facilitate change?
So, as a expert on the satire literature, what are particular interventions or maybe variables that you would like to see researched more effectively?
Wow, I love this question. So I think first of all is to really be clear what satire model is.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it's a lot of different things. So what we've done is put together really visually, like, the growth, I call it satire growth model because it's been called everything: validation, model process, the change, the conjoint, and all sorts of things. So now I've settled with the satire growth model because it is about growth, but growth towards so that congruence that's embracing. So then what are the elements of the model? There are different metaphors and different tools and different processes, like satire change process or iceberg metaphor, or the party exercise. So there are different tools part of that, but there's something fundamental about the principles of satire, the tenets of and situating that in, for example, polyvagal or attachment. That's what actually I did in my doctorate research. There are some very, very interesting links how we can situate it, and we don't have to separate. We need to connect dots rather than separate. And I know there are different, of course, perspectives, but for me, it's about effective integration and raising self-esteem for therapists to be able to do that, so they feel confident. First of all, understanding what the model is, and then taking it and playing with it. Because even satire said, look, I'm giving you the tools, you do the puzzle making, it's your job.
The people making.
People making, exactly. So you do the magic. It's not just about her, it's not about the prescriptive, okay, we're doing the protocol here. I mean, it can be, for people who like structure, it can be a protocol. That's why I created this integration protocols for satire and different modalities. But actually, once you get into the mastery level, it's about being in the moment, connecting with the client, and providing that support the way it's needed. It may be this and maybe that. It's like a toolbox, like a self-esteem toolbox. So for me, the research, I would love to see the research of comparing satire model with CBT, for example, and EMDR, like the top sort of notch. Now research, IFS also has IFS is also systemic, so that's kind of nice for us. But comparing something like satire model intervention, for example, stasis kinesis, or it would be intervention of family reconstruction, with the intervention of the CBT model or intervention of prolonged exposure therapy, and seeing the results, because there are a couple of studies done by Joan Winter, I think, where she did that, but it was not properly integrated into the publishing literature. And it's just, I think, she did just out in the open, where she did compare that to CBT, and satire was higher in effectiveness, but very few people know about it in the broader field of therapy. So I think that the more research we do, mixed methods, not just qualitative but quantitative, I think that's where big money comes in. Once we get the quantitative research, we will have support and funds, and then universities and insurances will pick it up.
Well, and I'm envisioning, at this point, it'd be a book where each chapter is a project on a particular aspect, and then you start to weave all the pieces together throughout the book, because otherwise it's just you're dissecting it for its own sake, and that's not the point. So
that's exactly what I'm writing.
Okay.
It's going to be a book on satire, and each chapter is going to be a different part of the model.
Okay.
And also there's a chapter on integration of different therapies and how to move it forward.
Nice. And will that be coming out?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm in talks with publishers.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for talking about this. This is awesome. Any last thoughts or words that an international audience would benefit from?
Well, I'm just grateful for people in this field, for everybody who's curious enough to learn more, to reconnect, and it's kind of going back into the future for us, because we already know, but it's just really connecting us together and I'm really happy to find my place where I belong. So really, it's all about connections. We need to stay together and support each other in this field. So thank you, Darya.
Thank you, Dr. Darya Haitoglou.
Yes.
All right, getting closer. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you around.